Hello students, today our lesson is lesson number 11, Market, which is found on page number 144. Now first of all, what is a market? Okay, so we will see what a market is. Basically, market is a place where buyers and sellers gather to buy and sell a commodity. So this is a narrow definition of market. But in a wider sense, if we see, market is a system or a setup in which the buyers and sellers of a commodity interact as well as make transactions about the price and quantity to be bought and sold. Okay. Next is perfect competition. You will find it on page 146. Perfect competition is a situation which does not exist in an industry in its complete form. That means fully in the market you cannot find perfect competition, okay, because this is an extreme case. A perfect competition has multiple firms, it has many firms who sell homogeneous products and they have large number of buyers. Homogeneous product means same products. Okay. Next are the features of perfect competition. The first feature is large number of buyers and sellers. That means in a perfect competition, there are many buyers and many sellers. Okay, so each individual firm must accept the market price. And basically, when there are many buyers and many sellers, they are basically aware of the price as well as the quantity demanded. Okay, so the buyers influence the quantity demanded and sellers influence the price. Next is homogeneous product. Homogeneous means same. So basically all the sellers have to sell their products at a uniform price. Okay, there is a standardized product that is to be sold into the market and at a uniform price. Uniform means at a similar price. Okay, so if any seller is trying to sell his product at higher prices, then the buyers will not purchase that commodity. Next is perfect knowledge of market. Basically sellers and buyers have perfect knowledge of the market conditions about prices, about the quantity and commodity, okay, about the demand and supply. These are all different market conditions that the buyers and sellers know. Next is free entry and exit of firms. Okay, so basically there is no restriction for new firms to enter the market and for the old firms to leave the market. Okay, so basically this means that the market is open for competition from new suppliers. That means the existing firms are ready to accept the competition coming from the new firms. Okay, so all the firms can get only normal profit in the long run. So basically there is no restriction for new firms to enter the market and for the old ones to leave the market. Okay, next is perfect mobility of factors of production. Factors of production like land, labor, capital, all of this can freely enter or leave the industry and they can move to another industry also. Okay, so if there is a person who works in a particular industry, can leave his work from there and move on to another factory or another firm. Okay, next is absence of selling and trust. So basically what happens is that in perfect competition it is assumed that all producers and the buyers of a commodity are sufficiently close to each other. Okay, they are quite close and there is no selling and distribution cost. There is no cost which is to be paid for the transportation facility, for the distribution facility. Nothing, no cost for that is to be paid. Why? Because it is considered that the sellers and the buyers are quite close to each other. Okay, next. Now we are going to watch, see imperfect competition. So what is imperfect competition? Basically, imperfect competition is that kind of a competition where features of perfect competition do not exist. Okay. So basically, imperfect competition is a situation in any market where the conditions of perfect competition are not met or are not to be found. Okay, so what are the features of an imperfect market? So the first feature of an imperfect market is restricted flow of information on cost and prices. That means there is not much information available about the cost and price in the market. Next is excessive power of some suppliers. So not every producer, but some producers have too much power in their hands. Next is discrimination by sellers among buyers on the basis of their buying power. So on the basis of the purchasing power of a consumer, there is discrimination which is done by the sellers. Okay. Now we are going to talk about monopoly. This you will find on page 147 and 148. So what is monopoly? The word monopoly itself suggests single. Okay. So basically, monopoly is a market structure which is characterized by a single producer of a commodity, and there are no close substitutes for that particular commodity. Okay. So features are, the first feature is that there is a single firm or industry or a single producer. Okay, so just one producer or a single seller or firm is there. Next is that there are no close substitutes of the commodity. That means there are no commodities which can quite relate to the other. Okay, so the commodities have no close substitutes. Next is that new firms can enter the market due to no new firms can enter the market. So that means new firms cannot enter the market. Why? Because there are certain restrictions for them, like government licensing, like economies of scale. These are some restrictions from the government side due to which new firms cannot enter the market. Next is substantial control of the producer on the price. So basically the producer, because he is the only producer, he has control over the price. It is his choice what price he is going to take for that particular commodity.
Hello, and welcome to our microeconomics presentation on monopolistic market structures. Let's dive right in. So what exactly is a monopoly? A monopoly is a type of market structure where one producer solely provides a good or service for which there is no true substitute. This type of market structure is the opposite of a purely competitive market because it is a single firm that provides a unique product, and it's difficult for new firms to enter into the market. This makes a monopoly a price maker, since they engage in non-price reliant competition. By being the sole provider of the good or service in their market, they can decide on the quantity of their product that they supply and what price they want to sell it for. Now, pure monopolies are rare, and in order to exist, there must be barriers established to prevent competitors from entering the market. For example, legal barriers. Even though the U.S. government has many laws that prohibit monopolies from forming, exceptions may be granted to certain businesses, allowing monopolies to still exist today. A control of resources. This occurs when a firm owns or controls an essential resource necessary for production. The Alcoa Company is a great example of this type of barrier. For many years, Alcoa was the only producer of aluminum in the United States. Since they owned all of the bauxite mines necessary for the production of aluminum, they effectively prevented any potential competitors from entering the market. High capital requirements. This occurs when the production process would require a large investment in capital and development costs, which most new firms can simply not afford. And related to costs are economies of scale. These occur when companies are able to decrease costs as their output increases, giving them an advantage in production over any potential competitors. Now, the graphing portion of a monopoly differs greatly from any other type of firm. In a monopoly, since they are the sole producer of a single product, the monopoly is the entire industry, which makes their demand curve the same as their market demand curve. A monopolistic company can price discriminate due to being a price maker, but in general, in order to sell more units, they have to lower the price of their product. This creates a downward sloping demand curve and an inverse relationship between their price and the quantity of the product they'll supply. A monopoly is also unique in that it does not have a supply curve. This is simply due to the fact that a monopoly is a price maker, not a price taker, so there is no need to specify a supply curve. Additionally, a monopoly is going to act as a profit maximizing company since it is alone in the industry. Monopolists will set their quantity of production at the place on the graph where marginal revenue and marginal costs intersect. It's a lower quantity where they will also simultaneously charge a higher price that consumers are still willing to pay. Their revenues exceed their costs the most at this point, and as a monopoly, they can make these higher profits without threat of having to lower their prices. So, let's take a look at some examples of present-day monopolies. Most companies today that are defined as pure or true monopolies are a direct result of those barriers of entry we mentioned earlier. A common example would be utilities. Maybe you move into a new home and are told that you only have one option for electricity. You have no other options. That company is it. This is likely because that electric company simply owns all of the power lines that run throughout your community. While they can charge other companies to have the right to use their lines, it may not be cost effective for the other companies to do so because the cost barrier is just too high. Now, while we may see an abundance of monopolistic power in smaller communities, where there is simply not a whole lot of choice available, in the bigger picture, we do not see many true monopolistic firms today. And there are two main reasons for this. First, with the necessary prevalence of governmental intervention in business, there are more consumer protections in place in the form of antitrust laws, which help prevent predatory business practices. Second of all, with new technology and other innovations in business, there is simply more choice. We see many firms that are near monopolies, such as Netflix and Google, but there are still other streaming services and other search engines available to consumers. This abundance of choice is the essence of a free market model. We should continue to embrace it in order to prevent any one corporation from having too big of a piece of the pie. That concludes our review of monopolistic market structures. We hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.
Okay, so I hope you understood monopoly. Now we are going to talk about monopolistic competition, which is found in your books on page 148 and 149. So first of all, what is monopolistic competition? So basically, a monopolistic competition is such a structure of the market where a large number of small firms similar, which are almost similar, but they are not identical products. Okay, they don't sell identical products. All the firms are not selling identical products. Relative freedom of entry is given. Okay, they can they have slight freedom of entering into the market, and they also have the freedom to exit out of the industry. Okay, and marketing and selling expenses are also incurred by the firms. That means firms are going to take care of the marketing and selling expenses. Okay, so what are the features? A monopolistic competition actually has few features of perfect competition and a few of monopoly. So we'll see them. Number one is large number of buyers and sellers. Okay, so basically a monopolistically competitive industry, actually they contain large number of firms. Okay, and all of them is relatively small. Okay, and as compared to the overall size of the market. So this makes the firms competitive because there are small units of many firms. Okay, so there are many buyers and many sellers. Next is free entry and exit. Now in this case, that the firms have absolute freedom to enter into the market and to leave the market. Okay, we saw this earlier also. Then they have close substitutes. So goods that are sold by the firms are close substitutes for one another. Okay, they are not perfect substitutes. They will not be exactly the same, but definitely there will be they will be almost the same product. So there will be close substitutes. Okay, so each good satisfies the same basic want or need. So because they are close substitutes, they will almost fulfill the same desire or want of yours. same need that that could have been fulfilled by the main product that you were expecting, but a certain other product can also do. Okay, so next is extensive knowledge of market. So in a monopolistic competition, buyers do not know everything, okay, but they have relatively complete information about the alternative prices. It's not that they know every single thing about the market, but they have some idea about the alternative prices. Okay, they have some information, complete information about the brand names, about product differences. They have these ideas. Okay, so next is product differentiation. Basically, the goods produced by firms which operate in a monopolistically competitive market are subject to product differentiation in terms of differences in packaging. Okay, so product differentiation means their packaging is going to be different, okay, for all the products. Then brand names can be different. Commodity is the same, but the other factors will be different. Product will be different on the basis of the brand name, on the basis of the packaging, of the color of the commodity. So these are some things on the basis of which the product will be different. Next is individual price policy of the firms. So basically what happens is that in a monopolistic competition, every firm offers product which is different from its substitutes, right? So in terms of their features and all, they have difference. Okay, their quality is going to be different, their color is going to be different, the brand is going to be different. So there is a product differentiation, because of which the firms have its own policy of price. Okay, they have their own price policies, they set their own prices, and they have their own policies with regard to setting the prices of the commodities. Next is non-price competition. So another important feature is a non-price competition. So basically over here, all the firms, they try to capture the market. Okay, so they are trying to capture the market through a lot of competition. Now these methods may be either advertising, you know, they are trying to capture the market through advertising, or through saying that we have a gift scheme. If you buy this, you will get something free, or a gift will be given, or they provide special discounts, or they guarantee some kind of free repair service. Okay, so they provide such kinds of facilities, because of which there is non-price competition. So without price also there will be a competition. It's not only competition of the price, but it's also competition about things apart from price, like free repairs or advertisement, or gift schemes or special discount schemes. These are all considered as non-price competition. Okay students, you will now watch a video on monopolistic competition.
Hi, Miss Denny. I really like this restaurant. I've never been here before. There are so many restaurants in Temple Bar. I often wonder how they stay in business.
Well, Dara, the bar and restaurant market is an example of monopolistic competition.
What is monopolistic competition?
This is where a lot of similar businesses compete in the same market. In the cases of cafes, bars, and restaurants, they may differ in prices, themes, menus, or location. I usually choose this one because it has great sparkling wines and is quite near Trinity, so it's quick to get to after work on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Why are there so many in this area of Dublin?
This is due to the fact that there are no barriers to entry. When a firm is making abnormal profits in the short run, other firms are attracted to the industry. This will cause the demand for any one firm's product to fall. If losses were being made, then firms would leave the industry and demand for a particular firm's products would increase until normal profits were made.
Was this a reason why some cafes and bars closed over the last few years?
Yes, it can explain this.
Okay, I hope you understood what monopolistic competition is. So basically, restaurants, the restaurant industry is a very big example of monopolistic competition. The last kind of market is oligopoly. Okay, so in oligopoly, basically it is a market structure which is categorized by few sellers and large number of buyers. So number of buyers is big, but number of sellers is small. Okay, and the products that are sold here in an oligopoly market structure are either same or different. They can be homogeneous also, heterogeneous also. We'll just see the features of oligopoly. The first one is small number of sellers. Okay, so small number of sellers, that means in this kind of an oligopolistic market, it contains new firms. Okay, so only new firms are there and they all have a different market share. So what happens, the market becomes has large size of firms, and when the size of firms becomes large, then the market becomes the leader. So there are very small numbers of sellers, and those small firms, those small sellers, they tend to become together a large size firm and to be the market leader. Next is competition. Basically, as the firms are very small in number, because the number of sellers is small, all of them try to capture the market, right? They want to capture the major part of the market. So through what they are trying to capture the market? Either through advertising, or they will try to do celebrity endorsement. That means they will use celebrities to attract the people. Okay, in their advertisements. Then they will give free services, free repair facilities, or special discounts, or they will give some kind of gift scheme. So their competition will be intensive in nature. Okay, so these methods will help them to stay in the market and be competitive. Next is interdependence. So firms are heavily interdependent on each other. Okay, so no firm can rest by making one time planning. Basically, the firms have to continuously bringing up new strategies and new ideas to increase the sales and to face the competition strategies. So to increase their sales and to face all the challenges and strategies of competition of the other competitors, they have to be interdependent on each other. All the firms have to be interdependent on each other. Next is cartel formation. So cartel formation means basically in an oligopoly structure, what happens is that a cartel is formed. Okay, now as the number of firms are very less in this structure, sometimes what will happen is that the cartel for removing competition among themselves is formed. Okay, so a cartel is formed in order to remove the competition among themselves. They themselves have in the market, they have their own competition going on. That to remove that, a cartel is formed. Okay, and charge high prices from the consumer. So basically, to remove the competition, they are actually trying to charge high prices from the consumers. Okay, so when what happens, when they are charging high prices and they have to remove this competition among themselves, and they are trying to charge high prices from the consumers, what will start happening? They will they will start acting like a monopoly market. Okay, they will start behaving like a single market. That means they will become such where it will feel as if they are a single market. That means one single seller. Okay, so they form a cartel, and therefore they try to remove the competition among themselves. Okay, next is restricted entry. Now in restricted entry, what happens is the oligopoly structure is such that restricted entry is seen in the long run. Okay, such restrictions may emerge because of low cost structure of existing firms, high cost of entry, government regulations, high technological know-how, patent rights or control over important inputs. So basically, the restriction of entry of the new firms happens because of some reasons, and those reasons are either the entry in the market is a very high cost entry, or there are some government regulations, government rules, or there is too much high technological know-how, or there are patent rights to a particular product, or control over the inputs is there. So all of these kinds of factors, they try to restrict the entry of the new firms. By the way, I forgot to mention what a cartel is in the previous point. So cartel is actually like an association. Okay, in the same business there is a kind of an association, or we can say it is a group of independent market participants, okay, who together with each other, they come together with each other and they try to improve their profits, and they try to dominate the market. Okay, so that is a cartel. So I just forgot that particular definition of cartel. So that is what happens in the case of cartel formation. And restricted entry is because of the reasons of governmental regulations due to high technology and due to patent rights, and there are lot more reasons for it. Okay, and the last feature is close substitute. Now, in an oligopoly kind of a structure of market, the goods sold by the firms are either the perfect substitutes or the close substitutes for one another. So each good is going to, you know, fulfill the basic need that could have been fulfilled by the actual product you were demanding. Okay, so if I need a shampoo, and basically I use, let's say for example, if I use a Dove shampoo, okay, but it's not available, so I can go ahead for a Sunsilk shampoo also. It's just a product differentiation, but it's almost a close substitute. Anyway, even a Sunsilk shampoo is going to do exactly the same thing what a Dove shampoo is going to do to the hair, right? So that is what is close substitutes. Okay, so it is going to still fulfill the basic want or need of the buyer. Now you're going to just watch a very little video of a short video of oligopoly.
Hey man, what are you eating? I'm enjoying my Honey Nut Cheerios. Did you know the cereal industry is an oligopolistic market? Oh, what? It's okay, it's just a market structure characterized by few sellers that sell similar products and make it hard for other companies to enter the market. That sounds awesome! But it's not always awesome for consumers. Sometimes the large companies that control the market will reduce competition and raise prices. They do this so that they make more money. Some examples include the soft drink industry, where Coke and Pepsi have competed for years. The U.S. automobile industry, where Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler take over. And the phone companies, which are control the market. Whoa, these companies are all around us. Wait, so are the companies competitors or friends? Well, sometimes companies can enter into a cartel agreement. A cartel agreement is an agreement on how the companies will coordinate to reduce their competition and raise their profits. That way, everybody wins, except for the consumers. However, these are illegal in the United States. This is because they can make companies too powerful by reducing their competition. Wow, I feel like I know everything about oligopolistic markets. Wait, there's one more thing. Sometimes price discrimination exists in oligopolies. This is when a seller charges different prices to different buyers. For example, at a movie theater, a child and an adult do not pay the same price for the same ticket to the same movie. They do this in order to increase total revenue and because some people will pay more for a product or service. Is that illegal in the US too? Only under certain conditions, such as if it hurts competition or crosses state lines. Thank you for all the information on oligopolies.
Created using Powtoon.
Okay students, so all the best, and I hope you all will prepare this lesson very well. Please do prepare and understand the lesson well. All the best.